it's interesting that it kind of you kind of reminded me of not necessarily again a piece of advice, but an approach that you tend to find a lot of people in business sort of think is the right way, and they always think, oh, if only I had 10 of myself, oh, if only I had 10 of me to do everything, and as well as it being egotistical, it's actually quite problematic. The part of the beauty of running a business and the benefits to running a business with a varied team is it's the skill sets and the mindsets and the viewpoints of people are so different that it's a huge benefit to the company overall.
Yeah.
So yeah, that approach of looking after the people, it pays dividends. I think there's quite a famous saying about you look after the people and they'll look after your customers, and ultimately that's the thing, isn't it? You look after the people within because they're on the front line dealing with clients, and if they feel valued, then clients are going to have a much better experience than if they're just dealing with someone who's just picking up a wage and isn't really that engaged and isn't as bought in. The fella that you mentioned there, I'm sure on a short term, he feels like he wins. It's a very short term way of thinking, but in the long term, the business will only grow if the people within it are truly bought in and feel valued.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely right. I've got a question here for the next question, which is, what advice would you give to anyone starting out in business? I'm not sure whether you've answered that or whether you have something else for it, but you can tell us if you do.
Yeah, no, I get asked this quite a bit actually. I've got a lot of friends who are quite entrepreneurial, and a lot of people, in my social circles, are actually starting their own businesses and going off and taking the plunge. And the big thing I always say is stop trying to get everything perfect before you go to market.
Yeah.
Stop faffing around with a really nice 20-page website and a perfect brochure for your sales process and a perfect CRM. And people will spend a year messing around with a business idea and putting together all these little intricate bits, and then they finally have all their ducks lined up as they say in a row, and then they go to this first potential client meeting that someone's recommended they speak to, and that person throws one curveball at them that just completely obliterates their whole thought about the business itself. For me, it's all about just get your MVP, get your minimum viable product out there, get to market, get in front of some potential customers, get absolutely grilled. Some people will throw curveballs at you that you didn't think about. Come back and revamp things based on that. And then when you have figured that out, then spend as much time as you want faffing around with a perfect website and stuff. But it's just get out to market. The failures along the way when you don't have everything perfect in place are actually what helps you build a proper business.
Yeah. If you're not failing, you're not learning, right? So
100%.
Yeah. MVPs are real because obviously that can be used from a software product point of view, from a whatever you're selling point of view, but also the business as well. What is that? Why would you spend 4 months doing the last 5% when you can actually get talking to people with a 95, right? So, okay, cool, good. Okay, so what challenges do you think are facing the kind of industry now and in the next 3 years?
I think so my background pre-Propcall wasn't in property management. So I think that the biggest thing that I've seen over the past few years and that the industry is currently facing is recruitment. I think that if you look at the talent market and the way I feel like since COVID that the industry's kind of cannibalized itself a little bit in terms of talent. You look in the block space as a prime example. You'd have a junior member of staff join on, say, 25k a year, and then they'd be poached by another company who are really desperate for staff on another 5k a year extra 6 months into the role with very minimal experience. Then another company goes, oh, well, they've got property management experience. We'll pay them 5k more than what they're on now. And before you know it, this person's gone 2 years in industry, jumped between 3 or 4 businesses, hasn't actually gained enough experience at each business for long enough to really warrant that pay increase, and ends up in a really expensively, a really high paid role with actually very little sort of experience. And, you look at some of the technical and the legal knowledge that sort of senior property managers need to have. And that, the industry is at a point now where the cost of talent is so high because it's kind of cannibalized itself and people have gone round in circles between businesses. And I think that's a big part of why people are looking to outsource. I think you look at the outsourcing market; it's become huge within property management because the talent shortage is there. I think moving forward, I think that will balance itself out. I think as people take a new approach on, it's not necessarily experience you need to work in the industry. I've started to see a big shift, and we've always sort of worked on the basis of we hire on sort of not necessarily experience, but more about temperament and mindset and problem solving skills, because we can train the property management into people. That's just a time investment, but the actual sort of application of that stuff is and the personal skills is what we look for. But I think that the future challenge for the industry is, property management's a thankless task at the best of
Yeah,
times. Nobody rings a property management company to go, hey, just wanted to let you know my block's really well looked after, and
well
I'm
done.
really happy with the quality of cleaning in the communal areas, and I'm really happy with the exterior to the building. I think a block factoring or a block management employee would probably fall off their chair and not have a clue what to do if someone did.
Yeah,
Leaseholder meetings and AGMs and whatnot aside, very rarely happens. A call comes in and it's a problem to solve.
yeah,
So with it being such a thankless task, and more industry red tape coming in and more legislation, I think it's going to start to really sort of drive higher stress levels. So yeah, it's quite fortunate that what we do, I guess, it provides a bit of work-life balance, particularly on the sort of out of hours. So I feel like
yeah,
we're helping to sort of shift some of that weight from people's shoulders, at least to get to go home on a Friday and disengage their brains a little bit.
yeah.
But yeah, I think that sort of risk and the stress associated with property management is going to hamper that recruitment.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. And what was IRPM, now TPI, bring out an annual survey of well-being and these sort of things in the industry. Certainly, currently covering England and Wales, and yeah, there's a lot of chat about the amount of stress and everything that these guys are under, and absolutely they are. Okay, interesting. Actually, I was speaking to someone the other day, who I must actually send your way, who was saying to me, because I said, so what happens when something happens overnight? And the guy puts his hand up, and I get a phone call. I said, right, how many nights have you been now? This is a probably about under 2,000 units, property factor Scotland. Um, and then I said, and how many times have you been called out in the last week? He went, or how many times has your phone rang in the last week? 4 or 5.